Why you want to get those Covered California letters delivered to your mailbox. Hello, I'm Kevin Knaus with InsureMeKevin.com. And for the 1.5 million people in Covered California, there are just usually no problems with their health insurance enrollments and subsidies. But occasionally things start to go sideways and there are issues for one reason or the other. And generally, Covered California generates a letter notifying the individuals in the family that something is going on. Sometimes the letters aren't very specific, but if all of that correspondence is going into a secure email on the Covered California account and you're not checking it, by the time you finally do get around to reading it, it may be too late. For example, Mark didn't really know there was any problems with his account until he received an invoice from his health plan saying that in August he had to make the full premium payment. We get into the Covered California account and sure enough there is a letter from Covered California telling him that his financial help was now $1 per month and he was on the hook for $1,133. So essentially the full premium payment for his health plan. And it's like, what? What's going on? Because the letter really didn't specify what was happening. But had he received that letter earlier, it would have saved him some money. And I'll show you why. When we got into his Covered California account, and some of the stuff can be kind of contradictory, it doesn't make any sense. It showed that Mark was eligible for Medi-Cal. And then we click the more details on that eligibility page, and down below says, you do not qualify for Medi-Cal. So which is it? You qualify or you don't qualify? We dig a little bit deeper into the account to find out why his subsidies were turned off. His health plan hadn't been canceled, the subsidies were turned off. And a couple of the reasons, the details, was that the primary tax filer, Mark, has a spouse but does not plan to file taxes as married filing jointly, which is a condition to receive the subsidies, and that the primary tax filer plans to file taxes as married filing separately. The problem being, Mark isn't married, never has been. So what's up with that? Who knows? But there was an issue with the taxes because Mark lived in a zone in California that was affected by a severe weather event, and the IRS gave him additional time to file his taxes, which he's working on. But Covered California doesn't know that. It is a condition to receive the subsidies that you agree to file your tax return for the previous year if you had received subsidies, to reconcile them. So Covered California, the system, goes out and pings the IRS database to see who has and hasn't filed taxes. Nothing showed up for Mark because he hadn't filed them. So Covered California had to turn off the subsidies. However, there is a fix for it. Within the Covered California application, just for Mark, you can navigate to a page for the tax filing attestation. And there you check mark a little box that says that you are attesting that you either have or will be filing your taxes for the previous year. Check mark that box because that's what Mark is going to do, file his taxes, and the subsidies come back. The problem is the subsidies aren't retroactive. And this occurred in August. Now the subsidies are in place for September, the next month. But Mark is on the hook to pay the full premium amount for August, that full $1,100. And if he doesn't, then the health insurance will be turned off, even though his subsidies have returned for September. So again, a lot of times Covered California is generating letters, sometimes not very specific with the details and sometimes contradictory. June moved from one apartment complex to another one right down the street and reported that her address had changed. And she received notices that she was now in Medi-Cal. The income hadn't changed, she just was moving from one apartment to the other. We get into her account and lo and behold, there are 4 different letters from Covered California. The first letter, dated in August 3rd, said she did not qualify for covered California subsidies. The next letter, August 10th, said you do qualify for covered California subsidies. And then there were 2 more letters on the 11th that said, no, you don't really qualify for subsidies. Why? What's going on? There's probably different people in the account. I'm not really sure. When I worked with Covered California, none of us could see any reason why she would be Medi-Cal. Her income was high enough. The only thing she did was she made a change of address. She reported a change of address. When I did look at that, it noted that the qualifying life event for that change report was permanently moved to or within California. Now, some of the qualifying life events for a special enrollment period can trigger that someone needs to look at verification. In this particular situation, they want to make sure that's not someone in Nevada trying to get a California health plan. So maybe that's what was going on. I'm not sure. I never saw any letters in her account asking for verification of having moved to California. Generally, agents are told by Covered California, when you're making small changes to the account, it may be an income change, changing an email, something of that nature. For the qualifying life event, you want to select none of the above, continue to review my application for Medi-Cal if none of the other qualifying life events are applicable. And with that, it just kind of sails on through. Now, it's kind of counterintuitive because no, I don't want to apply for Medi-Cal, but that's not actually what's happening, because if the account is in order, the income is high enough, the individuals in the household won't be put into Medi-Cal. It just means that it won't trigger a lot of verification requests, because it's just, oh, you're just updating your income. No problem. Here we go. Now, if Mark and June had received all those letters and they're in their hands early enough, it would have saved them a lot of time, agony, and money. And I tell a lot of people, oh, you know, just go ahead and select the email option for receiving letters. I've changed. You want to see those paper documents delivered into your hand. Routinely, every April, I get calls from people that they're sitting in front of their tax preparer and they realize they need the 1095As, which are in the secure email box because they selected they only wanted correspondence by email. It's cool. I'm able to get into the person's account, down those 1095As, send them to the person, and they can complete their taxes. But if you select send them to me in a paper form, you get them in the mail. So email is great for a lot of things, but man, when it comes to Covered California, I'm thinking it's just better to have as much information in your hand, if nothing else, to keep it on the top of the pile of the to-do list. Make it a priority, because a lot of times this stuff just kind of fades from our memory, and it's like, oh yeah, I got that email. All of a sudden you're into the new month and there's all kinds of problems that you can't solve because it's a new month. So if you have any comments, suggestions, you may leave those down below. I'll do my best to address them, answer them. And for InsureMeKevin.com, I'm Kevin Canals. I hope you are getting your letters in your mailbox.